Rav Kalmen, why to do Shalva?
You want the whole history, or you want just what?
Just tell me a little bit of the history and why it's important and why to do Shalva.
Okay. Shalva was born out of a personal experience that my wife and I had. We live in Israel, and we have our second child, Yossi, was injured by a faulty vaccination when he was 11 months old, way back in 1977. And as a result, he became blind, deaf, and very hyperactive. Clearly, as young parents, with all our dreams, our life got flipped on its head, and we had to try and find medical help for Yossi. We came to the United States, to New York, and we learned about his precise problems he would never see again, never hear again. And we enrolled him in a school for the blind in Manhattan called the Lighthouse. We lived in Brooklyn, and every day Yossi came home at 1 o'clock as a 2.5-year-old. From that moment, my wife's name was over. I worked in the computer field, and well-meaning people often told my wife, Malki, we think you should think about putting Yossi out of the home because you can't function and raise your other children. And Malki cried a lot as a young mother and always said, God, I'm not putting Yossi out of the home because you gave him to me. But if you ever decide to help our Yossi, I will help a lot of other mothers. We went back to Israel 5 years later, and at the age of 8 in the deaf school, Yossi, after 7 years of silence, had the Helen Keller breakthrough, where a deaf teacher sat him down next to a table and finger-spelled with 5 symbols in the palm of his hand the Hebrew letters for the word shulchan, table. She was ecstatic that Yossi got it. His life had changed, and she was ecstatic that Yossi's life had changed, and she was correct. He learned 22 letters of the Hebrew Aleph Bet. He learned to speak over a 2-year period, and he became known as the Helen Keller of Israel. When this miracle happened, my wife turned to me and said, it's payback time. I know exactly what I want to do to help others, and I need your help. We started 2 years later in a little rented apartment, Shalva, which means freeing up the family and the handicapped child. It really means peace of mind. And we never dreamt of helping more than 10 children with disabilities with a wonderful after-school program. What happened was that people banged at my door, and we began to develop more and more programs. Today, 24 years later, we service around the clock, free of charge, the entire community. Doesn't matter who they are or where they come from. First come, first serve. From birth all the way to adulthood. And the programs are not just for the babies or the children. They're for the mothers, the fathers,
they are for all the family.
Sister, and the grandparents. So
it's still after the school day, or it's for all the day, or you have people sleeping there. How does this work?
It starts in the morning with mothers who just gave birth to a baby they weren't expecting, or the doctor just told them the baby's not developing. That's called Me and My Mummy, and it's for the mother and the baby who come in. Each mother comes in 1 day a week, but there's different mothers each day. They come from all over the country. They get all their therapies. They have an amazing meeting with other mothers, coffee and cake, and it puts mommy back on her feet emotionally. And when mommy's on her feet, daddy's on his feet, the children are healthy. That's the first program. Then we have a 1 to 3-year-old program, where we have 40 youngsters who are challenged in that program 6 days a week, from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. Then we have a program from 4 to 6-year-olds. Then we have a program after school. Shalva is not a school beyond early childhood, but when a child goes to a government-paid school for, let us say, the deaf or Down syndrome, they come to us. Whenever they come home from school at 1 or 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon, they come straight to our center. We hold them till 6. They have a fantastic time with friends, like a camp every day, fun, therapy. they get a full meal, and we bus them home at our expense at 6 p.m. And they get home at 6:45, and the parents have had a day. Mommy sent them in the morning, sees them at night. Every one of those kids, 20 every night, different kids every night, sleep over. That means if it's Monday night, the child went to school in the morning, came to us in the afternoon, sleeps over with 19 other friends at night, is picked up by the school bus at our center Tuesday morning. From Monday morning till Tuesday night, mommy, daddy, and the children have an opportunity to have respite. Summer camps, weekend respite. 6 years ago, the government gave us an enormous tract of land in the heart of Jerusalem, 7 acres, upon which we are now completing a building that is going to be 200,000 square feet on 11 floors. We'll have all the facilities we don't have today: a semi-Olympic pool, a full-size gym, a 400-seat auditorium, and the ability to serve many thousands more.
It's for all Israeli people, it's just for Jewish, it's just for religious, or it's for all around?
As I said before, it is for everybody. First come, first serve. We service all the Jews from the entire spectrum. We don't care who you are. Just as when I was in New York, nobody said you're Jewish. Wait a minute. We service everybody. We have Christians. We've had Arabs in the program. It is for every human being that comes to our door. First come, first serve. No money.
Are you exporting your model or your help or giving some advice to other countries? Because in other countries they need it. They cannot take the kids to Israel and have them in Shalva. Are you exporting or supporting other communities around the world?
Yes. We've had many, many visitors who've come to study and come to learn. There's a very big church near Washington, D.C., which came to study. They sent 5 of their top people, and we shared with them everything we do for an entire week from morning to night. They went back to Washington, D.C., and they set up a respite center, a $16 million respite center, totally modeled on our respite center. We have another very large center created in Holland, where the people came to study. We taught them everything free of charge. They went back to Holland and they built what they needed based on our model. We have people coming, professionals, all the time. We have conferences, international conferences that we partner with Hadassah Hospital every year. We'll have another one later this month. And there too, people study and learn. In the new center, we'll have an entire floor, which will be an education and training floor dedicated to precisely that.
In Mexico, we have a very important organization that helps kids and everybody that has a problem like that. It's called Kadima. What do you think about Kadima? Are you working with the Kadima? Are you doing something, or you have plans to do something more with Kadima in Mexico?
I have just learned of Kadima recently, and this evening we had a joint affair benefiting Shalva and Kadima. I look forward, I've heard wonderful things about the organization. I look forward to learning more and exploring how we can partner and do good things together.
Having a kid with a problem, for some families it can be the end of the world. Or it can be, we saw it in many times, people that leave the kids outside, don't know what to do, and they just leave it outside the door. Just drop it there, or I don't know, they don't know. It's really the end of the world. Or like somebody here in Kadima said, it was a pleasure of God to have a kid like that and learn every day to have something new. What is your opinion? I know your opinion, but what can do somebody that has...
As you can well imagine, the experience of having a child with special needs is overwhelming. It overtakes the family. It becomes a project 24/7. And there's no question it's a challenge. There are those families who can rise to a challenge and turn that challenge into a blessing for themselves and see it as such. There will always be families who, for whatever reason, cannot take that challenge and work with it. So there's an entire range of responses to any problem in life, whether that be a child with a disability, whether that be a parent who suddenly becomes ill, as many human beings as there are, that's how many different responses there will be. Our role, and we do this in Israel, we have a pamphlet in every hospital in Israel that says on the front, you are not alone. And when a mother gives birth to a baby with issues, that pamphlet is given to her to tell her hope is not lost. And they can phone us, and they do, to our Me and My Mummy program, and very quickly, within a matter of weeks, Humpty Dumpty, who had a great fall, is put back together again. So yes, there's hope, but the community must support that.
What will be your message for somebody who has a child or a person with special needs? What will be just the message for them? For somebody that says, like you said, that you met somebody that felt and has now the consequences and doesn't know what to do. What will be your message or your tip for that, or your advice?
My advice would be to search out in your community an organization that will help you in these difficult moments, and do not struggle alone. If you don't find someone or a community